All right.
Hi, Lauren.
Hi. Um, I don't know the girls' names. What are your names?
Oh, my name is Amina, and my name
Amina,
is Amari.
Mari. Is it Amari or Mari?
Amari.
Amari. Okay. Cool. And Mr. Anderson. So, just to give you a bit of context, my name is Lauren, and I'm from Arkansas, and I'm working with the team on a project called Black Starters. And basically, what we're doing is showcasing the stories of Black business owners because we think having a visual of Black excellence and people of color in business is very important for young people. And I'm so happy to see the girls here because they look so young. And getting to see you and your story, I just think it's a powerful thing. So over the course of the next 30 minutes or so, I'm just going to walk you through some questions. And the whole point of it is not just to showcase your brand, but just to tell your story. And so wherever there is a story, feel free to tell it. Uh, and and yeah, so it'll just be very conversational. And girls, feel free to speak up whenever you have a story too.
Okay.
All right, so we'll just jump right in. Tell me a little bit about yourselves, where you're from, uh, what you do for fun, and how you know each other.
Oh, my name is Amari Anderson. I'm the youngest daughter, and I go to North Atlanta High School. I'm from Atlanta, and I play the stand-up bass. Okay. My name is Amina Anderson. I'm 15, and also attend North Atlanta High School. I'm a sophomore, and what I like to do for fun is I like to play tennis, and I also like hanging out with my friends a lot.
So, hi, Dondre Anderson. Originally from Detroit, actually raised in Las Vegas. That's where I got my lovely tan. What I do for fun, gosh, it's been so long. No, I guess for fun, I guess I just enjoy kind of, besides hanging out with my daughters or whatever, we like to go see movies or whatever. Like we plan to go see. There's a Justice League
Yeah.
movie coming out. We want to see. We did go see Marshall. Uh, that we thought that was really good. Yeah, so that's kind of what I kind of do for fun. I just kind of hang out with my daughters, or sometimes I spend some time with my friends as well. And that's pretty much. Well, we do
Yeah.
travel. I'm sorry, we travel sometimes. We
Yeah.
we do take we do go on some family trips or whatever. So we try to do a lot of stuff as a family when possible. When I can tear them away from their teenage affairs, which happen to be hanging out with their friends, as they mentioned as well. So
Very cool. So, tell me about your very first job, your very first work experience, and then we'll get into Symphony Chips. So, what was your very first job? Do you do you remember
Was
that
so
it
part?
FedEx or pizza?
let's see. My first job, I guess, work in the working world, I guess, would be actually when I was younger, probably about maybe a little bit younger than Amari, maybe like 13 or 12 or whatever. I used to work outside this grocery store, and I would help people to their car with their groceries, and I would get a little tip for that. So it wasn't a real employment or whatever, but it was just something I did for some money. And then I moved on to, I guess a real working job would be probably when I actually sold papers. So long time ago in Las Vegas, there's this paper there called the Las Vegas Review Journal, and I would sell it on the median. So cars would get ready to make a left hand turn or whatever. I'd be right there on the median selling papers. So most people, I think the papers were like a quarter. So people would normally give me $1 as they keep chain. I'm like, cool, So so that's what I did. Yeah, I think it was my first. I think it was about my first job. Yeah.
So then, how did you end up with Symphony Chips? Tell me that story.
Well, so actually, I actually went to, went on to college and, got a degree in electrical engineering and also in computer engineering. So my goal was to, I wanted to understand everything about technology. So I figured electrical and computer engineering together would give me that insight. And it did for the most part. So then, of course, that evolved into developing software. So that's kind of what I do for a living now, is actually develop software for a living. Or I think my exact title is software architect. So that's what I do for a living now. So when it comes to Symphony Chips, or more like Symphony Spice, it actually started with my dad, their grandfather. So my dad, being a restaurant chef from Las Vegas, actually, if you've been to Vegas, you had the wonderful cuisine there. I love to say that he's responsible for pioneering some of the wonderful flavors you have out in Las Vegas. So he developed the spice, and it's like I said, it's been in our family for over 40 years. And so when I finally got a chance to taste it, I was like, Dad, this is awesome. What is this? Because we would when I first tried it, I had it on salad, and then from salad we had it also on some different entrees. It was the same seasoning, but it seemed to change the more ingredients you added the more ingredients you had in your dish. The seasoning seemed to morph with it and seemed to give you this awesome flavor. So I was like, wow, we gotta do something with this, Dad. This is amazing. So we started to start a company in 2010, me and my dad, and it was just our company, and people really don't buy spices you can't taste. So when we finally made it over the hump and got into one grocery store, which is Seven Under, which we're actually in now with our potato chips. We would put it on raw vegetables with a little olive oil. Then we would also
Put on popcorn.
put on popcorn. But it wasn't until we started making homemade potato chips in the store that people really, really began to take notice to the spice. And the cool thing was that the store would buy so many bottles of spice from us. Then when we did the demos with the potato chips, we would sell out, and then we would just leave because we would take all the store's inventory. And so the store was, like, okay, we're gonna order some more from you. Then you guys got to come back. Well, realizing this was not a very successful and repeatable business model, was the only time we sold spices when we made potato chips. So we were like, oh, we can't get into like 20 stores because then we have to figure out how to demo in all those stores, right?
Mhm.
So it was one particular customer, I'll never forget it. He tried the homemade potato chips we made, and he was like, hey, we we have to make this at home. So tell me everything you have here.
Mhm.
Okay, we got the spices. He's like, okay, check. And we were using coconut oils. We said, okay, check.
Mhm.
And potatoes, okay, check. He just walked out with that and said, I got to make this at home. This is incredible. So with that, we said, hey, we may have something here. So we started reaching out to manufacturers, and we actually closed a deal with the manufacturer who we sent our spices to, and they create our potato chips and actually package them for us. So that's kind of the story of how we became Symphony Chips. Just evolving business model, right?
Yeah.
So what's the story behind the symphony piece?
See, my dad has this belief. Now, actually, we do have some musicians in our family. My father's father actually was a jazz musician. He actually used to play with Duke Ellington. He actually showed me some YouTube video footage of Duke Ellington playing, and my grandfather was playing the piano right next to the famous Duke Ellington, which is kind of cool. Um, but the symphony is really behind a saying my dad has. He believes that every bite should be harmonious. So therefore, we call our spice a symphony because it brings it all together.
Okay. So I imagine with any kind of food products, being the level of competition that there is in the market, that it's very hard to just push a product out there. And you mentioned having to do demos because when people are unfamiliar with a product, they want to taste it and they just want to sample before they're willing to make that purchase. Um, what were some other obstacles that you ran into in trying to push a food product out into the market?
Well, with the potato chips, I have to say that because you know we live in this wonderful world where people love to snack. People love and have a good time with their downtime. So a potato chip, especially when I think the key for us was the gourmet piece to it. we're saying gourmet potato chips, gourmet seasoned, which is something that is not really out there right now. You have, you know, what is it, sour cream and onion. You have
Salt and
cheddar and
vinegar.
jalapeno, or flaming, Cheetos and all this other kind of stuff. You have all these you have all these potato chips that have like one, two, or three ingredients, or now you have people trying to recreate a gourmet meal onto a chip, right? But
I see chicken and waffles
yeah,
on the
chicken and
chip.
waffles, all these, they
Yeah.
want to put a meal on a potato chip, or at least fabricate what it tastes like on a potato chip, right? Yeah. So obviously, obviously, I think the world is actually looking for more diverse, or the world has a more diverse palette now. I think people are more than just one or two ingredients. They want something that is far beyond what their parents grew up eating. Right? They're like, okay, the salt and potatoes. Okay, where's the fun in that? Right? So when you say gourmet seasoned, they're not just trying to replicate a meal, but we're giving you a flavor that nobody really has on the market. Nobody has our blend. Nobody has our characteristics, the architecture that went into our flavor. It just doesn't exist. So we offer that by our gourmet seasoning, and so that in itself has intrigued a lot of people. Gourmet season, because as we did demos at a few festivals here in Atlanta, when we say gourmet seasoned potato chips, here we have samples. People are like, what, gourmet
They're
seasoned?
like, what is
Yeah.
that?
Really? And then they just try it, like, oh my God, and they buy immediately. They say, oh my God, yes, I want this. How many bags can I buy? Okay, great. And they tell their friends about it, and then we tell them they can order online, and people just order. And so it's been really, really amazing. Especially, like I said, the gourmet option doesn't really exist out there. So we're really proud about that.
So when you were first getting started, I know you ran into some setbacks with just selling the spice alone. Uh, but can you talk a little bit about the maybe some internal things that were going on as you maybe ran into some issues with maybe not being able to sell unless you were demoing, or basically what
Sure.
I'm asking is like generally when you start a new project, especially as a small group or even as an individual, there's usually a lot of anxiety or fear about starting because you don't know if what you're doing will be accepted or well received or successful. So what kinds of things were you thinking or experiencing at the time?
Well, once we decided to go with the potato chip option, it was definitely scary, because nobody's had the potato chips, no one's tried it, and then the first version of our packaging was, you know, it wasn't the best. It wasn't what it is now. And so that was a lesson to learn as well. So it was like, okay, the packaging wasn't that great. So therefore, and the first website we had wasn't, the best it was, or wasn't what it is now. So it was like, okay, we have a great product. When people tried the potato chip, they were like, wow, this is really good. But the packaging wasn't really that inviting. So lots of times, people would bypass it. We did, however, get into the Atlanta Symphony. That happened maybe about a year and a half ago. No, no, it was a year, October, right? It was before we went to
Our trip.
our trip,
Yeah.
to
Right.
Spain. Right, right, right. So yeah, so we got into Atlanta Symphony. That was huge, and we walked around, and we had little trays, and people tried the chips. They're like, "Wow, these chips are great." But again, the packaging really didn't showcase the flavor that was actually inside. So that was something that I had to realize and kind of, make an adjustment. And I think as an entrepreneur, you have to really understand what your strengths are and adapt, right, relatively quickly, because in the beginning it is just you. You have to wear multiple hats. But then as your product be if when your product begins to, or your feedback you get from your customers is, really key. You have to listen when they say, hey, I like the chips, but I don't know what this bag is telling me. I'm like, oh man, okay, we got to change the bag.
Yeah.
So I luckily had, I luckily had a good group of people around me that said, hey, I have a friend that does marketing and da 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 da. I'm like, okay, great, let's have a conversation. So had the conversation, changed the look and feel, and now it's this. I love the packaging. It has this, great appeal to it that's very attractive and intriguing, and it showcases the flavor that I think that is actually inside. So that was kind of one of the earlier setbacks is the packaging, and then just again knowing how to get it out there, which was through one you got to have a nice website, but then two social media is really key. So that was another thing I had to learn as well was with being my age, I came along when there was no internet. I remember when there was no such thing as email, and it was really fun. Yeah, yeah. You're like, what is that world like? I can imagine. I emailed my mother my first words, right? No, but so I believe I heard actually their principal say it best. People my age are more technology immigrants, whereas they were actually born into it. So and never imagined a world without it. So as I learn and pick up things, whatever, and basically with their help, I'm able to do a lot more. But yeah, it was mainly the packaging and then learning that social media curve that definitely was something I had to adapt relatively quickly.
Okay, and then uh, with your girls here, maybe you have to shape your answer.
Uh
But
oh.
what would you say that you're most proud to have accomplished in light of your business?
Um, in light of the business, well, having a business, I think is like having another child because it actually has its own. It has it's its own entity and it requires its own attention, its own special attention, just like my children. Um, but being a father, I think is one of the most rewarding things I've ever done in my life. Because I mean their issues, not issues, but their accomplishments and opportunities is so different from mine. And watching them come along in this world, I think is really phenomenal because I like to think of myself as just bearing witness to their lives because they're their own individuals, their own people. Even though they're only a year and 15 days apart, they're very different individuals. And so watching them come along is definitely, I think it's helped me as a business owner as well because as a parent, I mean every like 3 to 5 years your child is very different, so you have to evolve and change with their needs and their requests and just what you expose them to. So that kind of carries over into me being a business owner because you have to change, you have to evolve, you cannot continue to do things the same way. And I think that's one of the great things about this business we have right now is it's coming along because you have a lot of companies out there that don't change anything. And they we make some people say we make the best potato chip period. And they've been doing the same thing since 19 whatever, right? Well, guess what? It's 2000 something. You have these millennials who come along whose tastes have evolved tremendously because our parents are growing. Well, my parents growing up, cooked with like salt and pepper and maybe 3 or 4 ingredients. Now it's a whole host of herbs and spices that give your food this experience. It was something else my dad, and I actually agree upon is that whenever you eat a really good dish, and I think you'll agree with this as well, aside from fast food, right? When you actually go to a nice restaurant, and spend money on a dish, it should be an experience. Every bite should take you someplace and elevate you in some kind of way. So if you're not getting that experience, then it's not really it's a basic dish, and you're just eating it because you're human. You have to have food and fuel to continue on with your life. So that's one of the rewarding things I see outside of the business is being a father, which has definitely helped me evolve as a person and then into my business as well.
So I'm gonna take you back just a little bit. If you could,
Are we going back? Throwback. Hey, hold on. Let me get my throwback on. Hey.
if you could go back and speak to your younger self, what advice or knowledge would you relay?
Come here, boy. um. Wow. So if I was talking to myself, what is it? Is it teenager or how old? How?
Let's say how long has it been since you started your symphony business?
Well, that was 2010. So that was only 7 years ago.
Okay, let's say 7 years ago.
Oh, 7 years. So before I started the business,
You were first getting started in the very initial phases. What would you go back and tell yourself?
I don't know if I would have told myself anything because the things I went through with the spices, I think had to happen. So some things in your life you have to go through to appreciate where you are, right? Because in order to appreciate a car ride, I think you have to walk first. Appreciate you can get there in 5 minutes versus the 50 minutes it took to walk it, right? So I would just give myself a lot of encouragement, and say, hey, there's something amazing at the other side of this. Just stay with it. Just don't don't be easily um what is the word easily deterred or depressed or whatever about things not moving like you think they should. Be patient. Definitely patience is definitely something. And I joke. Me and my girls joke a lot about me and my patience because
Yeah.
I don't like waiting in lines. I would do whatever it takes to not have to wait in the line. I will pay ahead. I will, make everything prepared beforehand, just to wait in less lines. But as far as patience goes, I would definitely tell myself to have patience because it's going to evolve, and it's not as fast as you want it to be. But pay attention to the things that are happening. So that's what I would tell myself 7 years ago. 7 years ago, so.
So, what would you say to an aspiring business owner? So, someone who is interested in starting something, maybe they don't really know what it is yet, but they're just afraid to take the leap, right? So, they're afraid maybe they won't be supported or afraid that it won't work out as planned, or maybe just afraid that they aren't smart enough or don't know enough yet.
Well,
Honestly,
yeah. What would you guys? I'm gonna let you guys
honestly,
answer
like
that
I already
question
like
first.
honestly, it would just be just to go for it. Like, cause you can't really worry about on the opposite opinion just yet when you haven't even like taken a step to go and do what you really want to do. Cause it's something that you're passionate about. Always go for it. Be 100% about it, and do everything you can to be your best self and to do whatever makes you happy.
Anything you want to add to that, Amari?
Um, do what you're proud of. Just like she said, strive for the best.
And
Yeah.
just go for it. Whatever you have, it doesn't matter what it is. Just go for it.
I would say I would have to agree definitely in going for it because I think I think this what this has taught me is that I didn't really know who I really was until I took that leap, until I decided to try it. And the thing is, people sometimes because people have a lot of great ideas. There's a lot of great ideas out there. People just walk around with, and they're just like, oh, I got an idea for such and such. You're like, oh, that's amazing. What are you doing? Why aren't you doing it? Oh, well, it's time is up. I got to go to work. They get all these excuses. And I say, you're making excuses to not start being who you really are. Because going to work is something we all can do. Anybody can do that. I think what makes you phenomenal, and when you begin to appreciate who you are, is when you start doing the thing that you think is impossible. I think that's the human phenomenon that makes us incredible. Each individual is when you actually take that step. Because I didn't. If you had told me this, back when I was their age, I'd be doing potato chips right now. I wouldn't have believed you, right? But then even when I started doing the spices, I didn't have the potato chip idea. It was just hey, let's just take it one step at a time. What's the first step? See, people get so caught up in the grand scheme that they don't even look at what's the first step. The first step was just putting it into a bottle, finding a bottle to put it in. That was my first step to get into the spice business, was putting it into finding out how to buy bottles. That was it. And then the next step was, oh, I guess I need a label. Oh, well, maybe I need a logo, you know, and talk about ingredients. Okay, but all that stuff was just step by step. But first was the bottle. How can I sell it if I don't have a bottle, right? So it's just figuring out the first step. And the first step a lot of times is so simplistic. It's so simple. And no matter with you're like Elon Musk and creating Tesla, or you're another entrepreneur creating just socks or something. It's just, what's the first step? And then the next step always comes after that. It was a quote I heard one time that says that you can drive in the dark from New York to LA with only seeing 200 feet in front of you. And you can get and only being able to see 200 feet in front of you, you can drive all. I'm sorry, I said it backwards. You can drive from New York to LA, only seeing 200 feet in front of you the entire way. Just you don't know what the next step is. Just take one step. That's all it takes. Hopefully, we answered your question.
And I'm so glad that we were able to hear from the girls too. They're so bright. Like I just love this. All right, so one more thing, one more, and then we'll get into how we can engage with your brand. What's one book, resource, app, or website that's been really helpful to you and that you would recommend?
Ooh, I have my answer. Okay, okay,
Yeah, go
I'll go
ahead.
first.
Give
Okay,
me an answer.
so there's this book I read called The 4 Hour Work Week.
Tim Ferriss, absolutely.
Yes. Oh my goodness, that was like the Bible, right? It was like I think every entrepreneur should read that book. It is so amazing. I mean, the title is so intriguing. 4 hours in one. That's all you work for the whole week is 4 hours. That's phenomenal, right? And then another resource that helped our business a whole lot propel us into the social media arena would be blackpr.com. Blackpr.com is actually ran by a young man. I think he lives in California. I've talked to him on the phone a couple times. Um, when he launched, well, when we put our press release out for the first time back in August, when we relaunched our brand and we had the new website, new look and feel, and all that, we got over 5,000, I think, hits in like it was like a day, something like that, and it just kind of went up and up from there. And then that's what got us the attention we got in the AJC, was the Atlanta Journal Constitution, which is the major publication here in Atlanta, and it also got us a actual news coverage. Well, actually, we actually got printed in the Atlanta Journal Constitution also, so that was huge. And we got all these other websites that jumped in and said, "Hey, we want to hear about this story," and we got it was like maybe like 5 or 10 different major websites around the country, and orders just flooded in. So definitely blackpr.com, the 4 Hour Work Week, and well, I didn't get a chance to read the whole book, but I listened to Steve Harvey a whole lot, and he has this great quote that I really like, which is discipline determines destiny, not desire. I like that too. So those would be mine.
All right, so Mr. Anderson, tell us how we can engage with your brand and where we can find you on social.
So social media, of course, the main one is our website, symphonychips.com. Definitely, we have it actually lists our other social media, but it also has our locations. Which when was it? I think it was Thursday of this week. We actually just found out we're going to be in the Whole Foods here in Atlanta. Yeah, we just got into Whole Foods. Yeah, that's huge. And in addition to that, we were already in Seven Under. It's a natural Whole Foods store as well here in Atlanta. And actually, what's really incredible about Success Seven Under, just the power of social media, I want to put it out there real quick because Seven Under is a great store. They put our chips out, I think it was a Tuesday, and by that Saturday, it sold out. So I think that's really incredible. But also, so we have Facebook, which is actually Facebook. You can find us by typing in all A spices. Then we have Instagram, which is Symphony Chips at Instagram, and then also on Twitter.
And
Hi, I'm Dondre Anderson,
hello, my name is Amina Anderson.
Hi, my name is Amari Anderson.
and we're from Symphony Chips.
Yep. Please come check out our website at www.symphonychips.com. We would love for you guys to check out our website and buy some chips and try it out for us.
Yep, buy often and love instantly.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren. Bye bye.
Bye.